Welcome to Christian Statesman. I'm your host, Zach Wagner, and this is episode 75, When Wokeness Bites Back. On the day when we have a very exciting Final Four to look forward to, we here at Christian Statesman have a great affinity for Gonzaga University for obvious reasons. Another professional sports league bites the dust in the race for the highest and fakest acknowledgement of woke politics. As Governor Kemp in Georgia just signed a common-sense voter ID law to attempt to mitigate some of the obvious election fraud that occurred there in 2020, the leftists are raising their narrative against all things sane in Georgia, declaring the measure a racist attempt to suppress the votes of minorities. Major League Baseball moved the All-Star Game out of Atlanta where it was scheduled. Delta, UPS, Coca-Cola, and other Georgia-based companies have gotten on the woke train and are decrying the law as some sort of unfair racist trope that will devastate minority communities. Consumers across the country are taking notice, and we predict that this runaway wokeness will result in repercussions. The first and most obvious to the leftist outcry is a question of simple logic. How can any requirement that all people produce identification before voting be considered an attack on one particular subgroup of that population? If there were some requirement based on race, gender, age, or some other protected class, an argument of discriminatory preference could be made. But a simple requirement applied to all people, regardless of any other status, cannot on its face be discriminatory. Biden and his woke handlers reveal their own racist bias when they erroneously proclaimed that the law discriminates against people of color because somehow they cannot easily obtain a driver's license or cannot go online to meet the simplest of requirements. Conservatives in the black community, such as Candace Owens or Ben Carson, are beside themselves at such blatantly biased assumptions. The ones decrying racism in the law the most are acting like the racists themselves. Yet our press refuses to point out the irony. As with most other Biden nonsense and the leftists' diatribe that accompanies it, this situation is not sustainable. You cannot perpetuate lies and false and unsustainable actions based on those lies indefinitely. The interesting phenomenon is that many former fence-sitting, non-engaged American voters are sitting up and taking notice at such nonsense. The left has been operating under a mandate of cancel culture for some time now. What will it look like when conservatives start canceling Coke products or refusing to fly on Delta Airlines? As a former CEO of a small company, I can only wonder what the leadership of Coca-Cola, Delta, or these other nonsensical C-suite denizens are thinking. They must know that they are balancing on a tenuous political razor's edge. Why crumble to these woke leftist misanthropes so easily? A much more neutral and objective stance should be the norm. Is it wise to alienate at least half of your customer base with such shenanigans? I, for one, rarely drink soda as it is. Coca-Cola is legalized, licensed poison as far as I am concerned. With a pH level one notch above battery acid, it is a wonder anyone would drink the stuff despite their multi-billion-dollar advertising campaigns. They would never miss my annual consumption of their products, which is already nearly non-existent. But if all Coke drinkers switched to Pepsi products or some generic brand, that would make a mark on the corporate bottom line. One thing I can do is resolve never to fly Delta again. Watching their CEO genuflect to the fake woke dialogue on Fox News the other day made my stomach turn. Fortunately, the nearest metropolitan hub is a major thoroughfare for United and Frontier. Looks like they will be getting our travel business in the future. Woke politics and business is a terrible mismatch. No business leader should acquiesce to this leftist nonsense. Those that do display weak and unprincipled leadership and do not deserve our business. Any consumers out there should take note. If the lefties can avoid conservative businesses such as Chick-fil-A, conservatives can vote with their wallets also. And we predict that is exactly what will happen. Looks like that trip to the nearby Major League Baseball stadium will not be happening this summer. Think I will go visit some remote national park instead. Hasta la vista. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe, and we hope you'll have a very blessed day.